this movie gets a lot of flack because, well, I don't actually know, because when I watched it, I quite enjoyed it. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's enjoyable. It is a bit generic. There's a bunch of other movies like it, but it's enjoyable. It starts off really well with a flashback with some guy basically saying don't think it, don't say it, and taking people out who know about the Bye Bye Man. I thought that was a really, really interesting starting off point. And then we go into the present where there are a bunch of teenagers and they've moved into the same house. They do a seance. I don't know why you keep on needing to do seances to summon creatures and stuff like that. It did in Slender Man. It doesn't really make much of a sense because with the Bye Bye Man, if you know about him, he will come for you. So you don't need to summon him or anything like that. It was just a bit weird. And even before that, there was a a coffee table, and it had the "Don't think it, don't say it" everywhere, written all over it. And then underneath that, it said the Bye Bye Man. So that was essentially their in point. So from that point onwards, they would have been in danger. So after doing the seance and basically going the Bye Bye Man afterwards, and then them all being infected with the knowledge of the Bye Bye Man, it didn't really work that well. But after that point, it actually becomes quite interesting because the characters play very well off each other in all their little interactions they do. There's a couple. There's this best friend that is all over the girl, but the guy doesn't. Her boyfriend doesn't mind it. There's no problem there. There were a few things that I had a problem with. Like there was a lot of things that were kind of introduced to the story, but were never really explained, or really nothing really came of it. Like in the opening scene, there was a train. There was a lot of imagery of train and train noises when the Bye Bye Man was basically coming. And then later on in the movie, there's no train noises. There's no lights. There's no train imagery. So I don't quite understand what the train had to do with the Bye Bye Man. And then also at the end, they mention about the Bye Bye. He has a dog. So basically, when you see the dog, you know it's your time. But the dog didn't do anything throughout the rest of the movie. It was very much like the third act. So yeah, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But as I said, it's an enjoyable movie. It's good fun to watch. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about it. I do like as well the fact that basically when he's gunning down people in the beginning, that there is no blood whatsoever. There's that he shoots through people with a shotgun, and there's no blood spurting from their backs. No one's bleeding. They're just lying there and they're just dead. It's hilarious. And then later on, for some reason, they include blood, and the scenes are quite bloody and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure what that was about. I'm not too sure if that was because they're trying to get a lower rating, so more people could see the movie. There were quite a few things I liked about the movie. I quite liked the premise itself. I thought that was quite interesting. I thought all the characters were good in what they did. Usually you get a bunch of teens that are going to get killed and stuff like that, but they actually had interesting interactions, and there was actually some payoff from some of the stuff that was happening. It wasn't very much like, oh, this guy's going to shag this person, this guy's going to shag this person. Oh, look, here comes the killer, they're dead now, and stuff like that. The kills were actually executed very, very well. And some of them were even done off screen, and I have absolutely no problem with that because it gives you a sense of how the Bye Bye Man affects people. I also thought the Bye Bye Man himself looked quite cool. He was just like a hooded figure with long fingers and a bit grey, but he looked cool. He looked cool. It's not somebody you'd necessarily want to bump into in the middle of the night. You didn't really see much of the dog. I don't actually. I watched this a few hours ago, and I don't actually remember what the dog actually looks like. It's like this kind of like the chatterer with the skin, kind of like it's like a peeled back kind of skin thing. You can't see any of the teeth or the ears or anything like that. You can just see it's on all fours and stuff like that. It's generally out of focus quite a lot. The third act was quite clever with all the twists and turns. It wasn't a basic third act where basically every single thing is happening, because the characters throughout the rest of the movie have been seeing things. You're not quite sure what they are seeing, and the ending really plays into that really well. And also, right at the very end, there is you see one of the characters basically whispering, and you can't hear it because there's no audio. They don't use the audio. So I love that because it leaves it up to the interpretation of the audience. You can interpret it whatever that character is saying. You can basically think they're just muttering nonsense, or you could think, oh yeah, they've actually just spread the curse. Oh bugger. And I also about the ending, I also love the little girl who basically finds the coffee table outside, and then the father's like, "Oh, what did it say? What did it say?" And she's like, "I don't know what it said. It was the middle of the night. I couldn't see anything. I can't read I can't read in the dark." I thought that was brilliant. I generally thought that was so creative, because it's just common sense at the end of the day. You get all these movies that don't have common sense, and this one it does. It's fantastic. It's bloody brilliant. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed watching this movie. I'm happy to own the movie. I bought it for like £2, and it's wicked.